One of the main complaints in part 1 of Boruto was the fact that Boruto didn't have many one-on-one fights, mostly since he was always paired with his teammates, so Momoshiki ended up taking over at some point in the fight. So it seems like Kishimoto heard the cries of Boruto fans and decided to open the timeskip with back-to-back fights of Boruto just dominating his opponents, for the most part. Now, while all of these fights were great and enjoyable, there's always gonna be the top dog and the best of the best. That is why in today's video I'll be ranking the top 6 fights of Boruto in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. So starting with number 6, we have Boruto versus the cries. Now this one was more so just a display of Boruto's mastery in Kenjutsu, as we see him easily wield his sword to cut down Code's soldiers. This started after Boruto arrived on the battlefield stomping on Code's face, likely using FTG. He then calmly analyzed his surrounding and easily dispatched off the cries as they moved towards him individually. Seeing as this isn't working, they all try to swarm him at the same time, which by the way makes the cries smarter than 60% of villains in manga history, who for some reason always decide to attack individually even when they outnumber the protagonist. But yeah, this was also futile as well, since Boruto is the protagonist and was able to cut them down all at once. So the fight itself was cool and served its purpose well, but it isn't topping anything else on this list. At number 5, we have Boruto versus Kawaki. Now this might be a bit surprising since these are the two mainest of main characters in the entire series, but while the fight itself was good, if you even call it a fight, it doesn't really hold up to the rest, okay? Now that's mainly because this fight really only served to confirm what we knew before, which is that Boruto is currently stronger than Kawaki. We first saw this when Kawaki tried to attack him using his rods that he's able to spawn using Ishiki's dojutsu, but Boruto was able to easily dodge this, not just once, but twice, at almost point blank range. Now the reason why this is impressive is because these are Ishiki's high-speed rods that Sasuke was barely able to perceive using his Sharingan. So Boruto being able to perceive and dodge them without any ocular powers, and one eye by the way, is pretty insane. Even so, I want to point out the obvious fact that the speed of these rods may differ depending on who is using it and which form they're in. That is why you had cases where even Naruto and Sasuke were able to dodge them at one point versus Jigen. Then you had Damon doing the same thing versus Kawaki in chapter 54. You even had part 1 Borushiki dodging these rods, which further goes to support the idea. So unless you believe part 1 Borushiki was Ishiki or Barin mode level, the rods clearly vary in speed based on the output of the user, which means Ishiki's abilities are amped to a greater degree. And chakra has always amped a person's dojutsu abilities, so it isn't anything new. There's also the fact that Kawaki's offensive power was limited by a model, so this Kawaki isn't even at full power, whatever that full power is. Anyway, the fight itself proceeded with Kawaki charging at Boruto, only to get sunned and knocked back with a single punch to his stomach, which looked pretty painful. So as you can see, not a lot happened in the fight itself, since it was mainly to supplement the narrative around Boruto being stronger, and also to introduce the issue of Boruto not being able to control his karma seal. Now at number 4, we have Boruto versus the Shinju. So this fight is also not very long, but a lot more happened and it was a bit more exciting. Mostly due to the fact that Boruto actually got challenged and was forced to use his abilities. So the fight itself began after the bug Shinju flew directly into Boruto and slammed him into the wall behind him. Boruto then used what appears to be a variant of Chidori Stream in retaliation, but even though the Shinju did take some damage based on the scratches shown in his body, he was able to shrug it off pretty quickly, and then tried to launch another attack moments later. Boruto then escaped using FTG as indicated by the Shinju, referring to his ability as Tricky. By the way, just this interaction by itself proves that the bug Shinju would absolutely destroy Kawaki. Him being able to ram into Boruto before he could dodge, similar to how Boruto dodged all of Kawaki's attacks, proves that he's also faster than Kawaki. You can also make the case for his durability, since he also tanked Boruto's lightning style while Kawaki got downed by a minor punch. Though it does depend on if you think that punch had more might behind it than the lightning infused technique, which is of course possible. There's also a point when Boruto actually looked worried and had to use Flying Raijin to escape Bug's technique, which likely means that he would have taken damage, or at least he couldn't physically dodge it. So yeah, the Bug Shinju is at least relative to base Boruto to some degree. Now this then moved into the Sasuke Shinju, also known as Hidari, trying to decapitate Boruto after teleporting using Code's claw marks. Boruto was able to easily dodge this of course, but the Shinju immediately followed this up with Sasuke's Chidori, which Boruto negated with his own Rasengan. Boruto is then subsequently attacked by the Bug Shinju, but he was able to react and defend against it using his sword. Matsuri Shinju also chimed in as well, using the Earth Release technique she acquired from Moegi, which was actually able to catch Boruto. That was clearly while he was distracted by the other Shinju. So Boruto, after realizing that he can't defeat these guys, left the scene using FTG. What this means is that these guys scale above Kawaki, but relative to base Boruto, especially given the feats of the Bug Shinju and Idari being able to negate his Rasengan. Now at number 3 we have Boruto vs Code. This one is a tad bit tricky since it also wasn't that long, so you might be wondering why I ranked it so high on the list despite ranking the others lower for that same reason. Well, that's more so due to the abilities that were used than the narrative implications that came from it. You see, the fight itself started off with Code saying that Boruto is bluffing about being able to take him down easily because he ran away without being able to do anything 2 years ago. So this implied that Boruto is below Code, which made sense since he scaled below him pre-timeskip. So going into this fight, you actually had no idea what to expect, or you thought Boruto was actually bluffing. That's mainly why what happened next was so surprising. You see, the actual fight began when Boruto activated his new Rasengan called Rasengan Uzuhiko and started to slowly walk towards him. Code then tried to attack him from behind using his claw marks, but Boruto was able to easily dodge him without even looking at him. He then tried to launch a counterattack with his Rasengan, but Code was able to catch his hand before he could land a hit. Code then tried to land another strike with his claws, but Boruto was once again fast enough to block it and strong enough to hold it off. Mind you, both of these characters are still in base at this point. So the best, most honest interpretation you could come away with is that they're relative in base or that Boruto is slightly above. Now Code did later activate his Karma Seal, but there's no way to really gauge whether Boruto is stronger than Code amped by his Karma based on what happens next. See, as I mentioned earlier, Boruto invented a new Rasengan called Rasengan Uzuhiko, which seemed to be depicted by swirls around Boruto's body. These swirls then transferred to Code while he was holding on to Boruto's hand, which prompted Boruto to say, "I told you, killing you is easy, in fact I'm already halfway there." This is then immediately followed by Code not being able to land a hit on Boruto. He just kept missing the target every time he tried to swipe at him. This prompted Code to question the type of movement itself, saying that it's not on the level of dodging, it's not genjutsu or cloning either. This is then followed by Boruto instantly appearing behind Code and slamming him using the full force of Rasengan Uzuhiko. Now the ability itself isn't fully explained in the manga, but Boruto said that it's a strike back from the chakra of the planet Code tried to destroy, a Rasengan that absorbed the planet's rotation. So the power coursing through Code's body will never disappear, just like the planet will never stop rotating. Well, unless Boruto rescinds it. So Code's vision is now distorted, and he's pretty much experiencing vertigo due to the ability, which is shown by him tumbling over. Damon even confirmed the nature of the ability by comparing it to planetary spin, which is an actual scientific term. Now this could have also been responsible for why Code wasn't able to touch Boruto before, since planetary spin can also induce a thing called Coriolis. This is referred to as the pattern of deflection taken by objects not firmly connected to the ground while traveling. Now I'm not going to go in depth on this since there's a video for that already. So if you guys want to learn more, I suggest watching that video after this one. The overall point is that it is possible that Code wasn't able to land a hit on Boruto due to the effect of this technique, or possibly Boruto just spamming FTG. So it isn't necessarily indicative of who's stronger or faster. Now with that said, what I think undeniably proves that base Boruto is faster than Karma amped Code is the panel when he landed the Rasengan. This seemed fairly obvious to me since Code wasn't caught off guard. He legit got speed blitz since he definitely saw Boruto standing behind him before Boruto even motioned to land the Rasengan. They both literally made eye contact before Boruto even motioned to hit him, yet he still wasn't able to block or dodge. So if he was faster than Boruto, he would have been able to dodge the hit similar to how Madara was able to dodge Tobirama after he spawned using FTG. That is because even though the teleportation aspect itself is instantaneous, you still need regular movement speed to land hits after you spawn. So Code not being able to react to this simply means that he just scales below Boruto, at least in speed. Now at number 2 we have Boruto vs Sage Mitsuki. This fight is actually one of the most anticipated fights in Boruto, both in universe and out. This has been teased and hinted at so many times in the manga. So when it finally happened and Mitsuki got washed, a lot of Mitsuki fans were disappointed, including myself. Even so, the fight itself was amazing, mostly because it received a lot of screen time in the manga. This fight began in chapter 6 when Mitsuki tried to sneak Boruto from behind by wrapping his snakes around him. Though just before the snake could actually bite him, Boruto used his immaculate thrusting powers to launch his sword into the air and then use Flying Raijin to teleport towards it. This interaction proved that Boruto himself is faster than the attack speed of Mitsuki's snakes, and also that Boruto is actually quite skilled in how he employs FTG. Now the fight itself didn't end there, since Mitsuki tried attacking Boruto with his sage-amped ethereal snakes once again. But Boruto wasn't fazed by this, because, he's Boruto. So he was able to easily cut through them by amping his sword with purple lightning. Mitsuki then tried another snake attack because bro just doesn't learn, and this is actually the same thing he's doing in the Ryu fight, but we'll see if it works out, okay? We'll see. But yeah, he tried using another snake attack, and it's called the Striking Shadow Snake Attack, which resulted in massive snakes erupting from beneath the Earth's surface. This then prompted Boruto to escape using his new ability to fly, which he inherited from Momoshiki's genetics. He then left the scene since he wasn't really interested in fighting Mitsuki, but Mitsuki wasn't having that and decided to follow him on foot. Now the second portion of the fight continued in chapter 7, which had Mitsuki charging at Boruto while deflecting his shurikens. Boruto then proceeded to effortlessly dodge Mitsuki's snakes once again, then teleported to the shurikens that were deflected by Mitsuki. Mitsuki then decided to let loose, as he said, by first creating more snakes. No, but this time, I'm just kidding. He created snake sage clothes and launching a barrage of attacks at Boruto using what? Yeah, snakes. Which of course he was able to evade. But he did manage to destroy the forest, so I guess that's a great feat for Mitsuki. Boruto then decided to stop playing around and easily blitzed and destroyed all of Mitsuki's sage clones with a single slash from his lightning-imbued sword. Mitsuki himself then tried to attack him using his snake lightning, but of course Boruto has something even better, his own lightning bolt, and he was able to negate it. This then caused a mass of smoke to fill the area, which Boruto used as a cover to end the fight by resting his sword by Mitsuki's neck. So as you can see, the fight itself was pretty amazing, since you got to see Boruto employs lightning-based techniques, flying Thunder God in unique ways, and even Mitsuki using snake lightning, snake clones, and even his other ethereal snake-based abilities. The fight also had a lot of impact in the surrounding, which added a bit more weight to the powers being used. All in all, Mitsuki didn't show out like some of us expected, but it was a good fight to follow while it was taking place. Now at number 1, we have Boruto versus Hidari. So this fight started after Boruto teleported towards Sarada after saving Himawari, and upon entering he slashed off a piece of Hidari's hand. He then stood before him like a boss, because Boruto knew that he's stronger than this dude, of course. But yeah, Hidari tried to slash him with his hand because the Ten Tails beings or the Shinjus have the ability to pretty much morph their hands into weapons, but Boruto was able to react to this at point blank range, and I literally mean this point blank. Like, look at the panel right here. The thing is literally right next to his head, but Boruto reacted to it using his sword and blocked it. He then proceeded to use an ability called Wind Style Breakthrough, and it sent Hidari flying. Now this ability isn't new, I think it was created by Orochimaru and Mitsuki also has it. Now Boruto typically uses Gale Palm, but he just decided to use Breakthrough in this instance for, some reason. Now Hidari then ran away into his claw marks and summoned a bunch of claw grimes to take on Boruto and his squad. Though these guys of course aren't a match for Boruto, so he pretty much, blitzes them, dodges them, slashes them up, the typical stuff. Though Sarada tries to kick one of them and she accidentally kicks the claw mark on their body, and Hidari then tries to pull her in using that claw mark. But that's when the big dog Boruto steps up and he throws a shuriken, it seems, and then teleported above Hidari and slammed him with a Rasengan. And this also shows that Boruto has the attack potency to erase Hidari's body with a normal Rasengan, by the way. And just to clarify, what I mean is that if Boruto made a bigger normal Rasengan, he will be able to erase Hidari. He doesn't need Rasengan Uzihiko, by the way. Now Hidari then ran away once again and teleported to the Ten Tails dimension to repair his body, which they did in the prior chapter as well. He then spawned countless claw marks around Boruto and Sarada so that they wouldn't have any idea where he's coming from. Boruto then gears up to use Rasengan Uzihiko, which he says can kill him in one blow. He then goes on to explain what it is, the energy of centrifugal force which accompanies a planet's rotation and orbit. So in essence, our summary, this ability utilizes the kinetic energy generated by the planet simply rotating. He also says that it is possible to kill him in one hit if he doesn't hold back, because there's absolutely no limit to the power of Uzihiko. But he also needs to keep his feet planted on the ground to absorb that energy, so he can't really be moving around. That's when Hidari tried to attack him from behind, but Big Dog Konohamaru then stepped in and blocked his attack using Rasengan Barricade. Boruto's then like, yo bro, I got this man, I told you to watch Himawari, what are you doing here? And Big Dog Konohamaru is like, yo, I decide what I do boy, instead of complaining to me, get that just ready, you blunt. But that's when Hidari popped up once again through the claw mark, grabbing onto Sarada. She then defends herself using Chidori's Stream, which of course paralyzes the person. This allows her to toss Hidari towards Boruto, who goes on to say that the jutsu isn't ready yet, but it's now or never. He then lands a direct hit and says, Rasengan Uzuhiko. This then triggered a massive whirlwind of energy to circulate around him, which then pushed Hidari into the sky. And I can just imagine how epic this will be in the anime. I can just imagine the sound effect, right? It's gonna sound something like winding up. It's gonna sound amazing. But yeah, the ability then rips apart Hidari's body and leaves a tiny piece of him remaining, which of course is his head, which is a bit funny since he landed the Rasengan on his shoulder next to his head, but his entire body, including the opposite side, gets destroyed, but his head is still in place. That's a bit funny. But yeah, Hidari isn't dead because, Boruto said the jutsu isn't ready. And he tried to escape into his claw mark to go heal again in the 10 Tails dimension, but of course, Kawaki steps in and erases his body. So as you can see, a lot happened in this fight. Uzuhiko, Rasengan, FTG, Sarada being included as well. Then you have Konohamaru. Everyone was doing something in this fight, which just made it way more enjoyable. So I do think this is the best fight in TBV for Boruto specifically. And I would also say in general, because you do have other fights with the other characters such as Himari and Jura and all that stuff, which I might do a separate video that ranks those fights. That includes the other characters, but we'll see. Well, and all that's it for this video. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you think one fight should be above the other one, or do you think I missed the fight? Who knows, maybe I did and I need to go back and read the manga, but I doubt it. Anyways guys, if you guys are new, I would appreciate subscribing and also like the video to help me in the algorithm. And if you guys want to go a bit further, you guys can become a member and of course experience the perks of being one. By the way, shoutouts to my current members, Samuel Morningstar, Jack Atlas, Harry, and Kashikage himself. I appreciate the support guys. But yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.